Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll start with 8th canto, and the title of the whole canto is Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations. It's quite an interesting title. And we'll see how this title comes into play as we go through the canto, because Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj about the different Manus. And as Manus come and go, of course, the cosmic creation starts to reducing its time scale. Hence why it gets withdrawn. So, very quick review of what we've done so far. Cantos 1 and 2, they represent the Lord's lotus feet, and they sort of are a prelude to the whole scripture. It introduces us to the key philosophical concepts and the prominent characters like Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami, etc. These two cantos also establish Bhakti Yoga as the topmost spiritual path. And we've seen this theme of Bhakti Yoga goes right through the Bhagavatam. So we saw that in the 7th canto as well. And establishes Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of all incarnations. Especially Canto 1 does that. And in these cantos, there's many wonderful prayers by devotees, how the Lord reciprocates with them, the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, his activities of chastising Kali, and then the history of the Bhagavatam is also given. Circumstances in which it made its appearance, how Vyasadeva was disillusioned and Narad Muni showed him the way. The process of creation, the Virat Rup, this universal form is described in terms of the universe, and the Chatusloki, which is the seed form of the Bhagavatam, 2.9.31 to 37, and then the definitions of the 10 topics of the Bhagavatam, which are here. These are the 10 topics. No, this is not the 10 topics. The 10 topics can be later. So the 3rd and 4th cantos are the ties of the Lord. And they talk about the Sarga and Visarga, the primary and secondary creations, through the conversations of Vidur and Maitreya. Vidur asked many, many questions of Maitreya, who answered them. So the 3rd canto is subject matters is the creation, the sub-creation, the secondary creation, if you like, by Lord Brahma. The first creation is by the Supreme Lord by just simply breathing out. And the secondary creation is a lot of hard work by Lord Brahma, inspired by the Lord. It also talks about time, embryology, family life, different yogas, Sankhya, Bhakti, Stanga, Jnana, Karma Yoga, and talks about spiritual material worlds. Also describes hell in brief, and then in the 5th canto, there's quite a big description of hell. So in the 3rd canto, there are prominent episodes. Varaha is described, and there's also descriptions of Vaikuntha and Lord Vishnu, very beautiful descriptions. Interaction of Kashyap Muni and Aditi, and the household life of Kardam Muni and Devahuti. These households were compared. Teachings of Lord Kapil, who was the son of Kardam Muni and Devahuti. The 4th canto, a lot happening in the 4th canto. Maitreya describes the family of Swambhu Manu's descendants. He had 3 daughters, Devahuti, Akuti, Prashuti, and 2 sons, Uttampad, Priyavrat. And in this canto, Lord Shiva is described, Suniti, the mother of Dhruv himself, King Anga, one of the descendants of Dhruv, Prithu Maharaj, who came from the body of King Vena, Prachetas, and there are examples of, great examples of devotional service. We also learn about the unfavorable attitudes in bhakti, and we can learn from the mistakes of Daksha, Suruchi, the mother-in-law of, stepmother of Dhruv, Vena, crazy king who got killed by the Brahmins, by mantra. Indra, who again and again became so envious and disturbing the devotees of the Lord. Prachinabharhi. And then there were some very positive transformations undergone by many of these personalities. And we see many of the wonderful prayers of the pure devotees in this canto. And basically, what the pure devotees want to do, they want to hear about Krishna from the mouths of devotees. That's the highest path of bhakti, because when you hear about God, Krishna, it can destroy the attachments to this material world. By rejecting heavenly enjoyments and impersonal liberation, which are the results of process of karma and gyan, such prayers once again establish the superiority of bhakti. And there's many examples of kings who left everything behind. They had so much wealth, but they didn't care for any of it. They went away from their kingdoms, practiced bhakti at the right time, at the right place. And they were also accompanied by their glorious Dharampatnis, Patis, Ansuya, Sati, Suniti, Archi, Vairabhi, who were very faithful to their husbands and achieved the same success. Canto 5 is the lotus navel of the Lord. And Shukadeva Goswami again continues with the secondary creation. He describes dynasty of Priyavrat, and who was the other son. Who was the younger son of Swayambhav Manu? Anybody remember the name? Who was the brother of Priyavrat? Riyansh. You know there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Who was the younger brother of Priyavrat?
Uttanpad.
Well done, well done. The latter half of the canto discusses Sthanam, the position of the various planetary systems. And he describes the structure of the universe. That was pretty challenging stuff. Also, there was a discussion about how can an advanced devotee fall from his spiritual position. Then there was discussion about Priyavrat, but more importantly, there was discussion of Maharaj Bharat. And a lot of discussion about Maharaj Bharat, who became a deer, and then Jad Bharat. Then this dynasty of Priyavrat is described, how he exemplified the spirit of sacrificing his personal desires. He didn't want to become a king. He wanted to go and practice meditation. But Lord Brahma came and said to him, no, you need to continue with the process of creation. And he was obedient. He obeyed. Although he wanted to be in renounced order, upon Brahma's request, he took charge of the father's kingdom without any grudges, and he ruled in an exceptional way. He divided this Bhumandal into 7 islands and 7 oceans. Then later on, he appointed his sons as rulers, and then he retired. His son was Angidhara, whose son was Nabi, who desired the Lord as his son. And then Rishabdev appeared. So this is the 5th canto. And his instructions to his sons were very important instructions. His eldest son was Bharat, who fell, as we just discussed, from his lofty position as a very pure devotee. And he took birth as a deer, then a Brahmin, but he could remember his past lives. So he perfected himself. Then the geography of the universe, Jambudweep, etc. is described. 6th canto corresponds to the chest of the Lord. And there's some very interesting themes in this chapter. Because at the end of the 5th chapter, canto, Parikshit Maharaj heard about the hellish planets, and he was really disturbed. And he asked Sukadev Goswami, how can one be freed from, how can one be saved from entering this hellish planets? And then Sukadev Goswami gave him the example of Bhakti Yoga as performed by Ajamil. Even Ajamil was so sinful, but he simply chanted the holy names of the Lord at the time of death, and he became liberated. Upon Parikshit's request, he resumed then the topic of, Sukadev Goswami resumed the topic of Visarga, talked about austerities of Daksha, his 11,000 sons who became renunciates, and then he curses Narad for making them devotees. But a daughter of Daksha called Aditi, she married Kashyap. And then Indra killed Vishwarup after getting the Narayan Kavach, the protection from getting defeated by the demons. And then Indra received a lot of sinful reactions for that, and he hid away from everybody in the middle of an ocean or something like that.
Shared them over.
And then he shared it out with all the four earth and
Women.
trees, women. And then Vishwarup, he took birth, was it Vishwarup who took birth as Vritsasura? No, Vritsasura was a demon, wasn't he? Ah, yeah. Vritsasura was a demon who came out of the Yagya. And he was in his previous life. Who was he in his previous life? Anybody remember?
Chitraketu.
Chitraketu. Very good. Chitraketu is one of the most instructive pastimes in the Bhagavatam. And then Sukadev Goswami resumes a talk about the Maruts, very interesting, who born as demons but actually were elevated to demigods by Indra because they were his brothers. Very interesting. So the first 6 cantos describe the glories of the Supreme Lord and his devotees, predominantly describing Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Posanam, the protection offered by the Lord to his devotees, even though they may transgress the laws of Dharma. So the 7th and 8th, so we've done the 7th. So the 7th and 8th correspond to the arms of the Lord. And it shows the inclinations of the devotees. It's either auspicious or inauspicious. Either if the absorption is in the Lord, then they can both liberate. Of course, we want to have auspicious, positive thoughts towards the Lord, rather than negative thoughts, which Hiranyakashipu had, for example. So there's 2 types of bhakti: Shuddha bhakti, pure devotion, and Mishra bhakti, which is where it's mixed in with Varnashram dharma. And Parikshit Maharaj was wondering, why is the Lord being so partial to the demigods and in favor of the Indra and against the demons? And Sukadeva Goswami explains, no. He's not partial. He's impartial. He's neutral. And he gives the example of Shishupal. Or he gives the conversation that took place between Narad Muni and Yudhishthir. Because Narad Muni saw the killing of Shishupal, who merged into the body of Krishna, and he was shocked. How can the demon become one with God? So then Narad Muni explains the pastimes. And now we are in the 8th canto. So let's have a look. This is really fascinating. Prabhupada's introduction to the 8th canto. So this is what he's saying. First of all, let me offer my humble, respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Sometime in the year 1935, when His Divine Grace was staying in Radhakund, I went to see him from Bombay. At that time, he gave me many important instructions in regard to constructing temples and publishing books. He personally told me publishing books is more important than constructing temples. Of course, those same instructions remained within my mind for many years. In 1944, I began publishing my Back to Godhead. And when I retired from family life in 1958, I began publishing Srimad Bhagavatam in Delhi. When 3 parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam had been published in India, I then started for the United States of America on 13th August 1965. So this is really interesting how he's describing the history of his activities. Okay. I am continuously trying to publish books as suggested by my spiritual master. Now in the year 1976, I have completed the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and a summary of 10th canto has already been published as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th canto are yet to be published. On this occasion, therefore, I am praying to my spiritual master to give me strength to finish this work. I am neither a great scholar nor a great devotee. I am simply a humble servant of my spiritual master, and to the best of my ability, I am trying to please him by publishing these books with the cooperation of my disciples in America. Fortunately, scholars all over the world are appreciating these publications. Let us cooperatively publish more and more volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam just to please His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So what is this 8th canto? It prominently presents the theme of Manvantara, or the reign of Manu. So Manus are the administrators of the universe, appointed by the Supreme Lord. There are 14 Manus who rule in one day of Brahma, Kalpa, and that spans 1,000 Chaturyugas. Chaturyugas are the 4 yugas, Satya, Teta, Dwapa, and Kali. So one cycle of them is a Chaturyug, and there is 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. Thus each Manu rules for about 71 Chaturyugs. They rule for a very, very long period of time. In every Manvantara, there are 6 kinds of personalities who manage the various functions of the universe. There's the Manus, there's the sons of the Manus, the Devatas, Indra, the 7 great sages. They're also involved in the managerial function. The Manvantara, the avatars of the Lord. So those are the 6. In the beginning of this canto, having heard in detail about the reign of the first Manu, Swambhu Manu, Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami to describe the Supreme Lord's pastimes in other Manvantaras. So thus, Sukadeva Goswami describes 6 types of the main persons in each of the 14 Manvantaras in the current day of Brahma, and elaborates selected pastimes of the Lord in some Manvantara. So briefly, what happened in this canto? Swambhu Manu, he renounces his kingdom, goes to the forest, glorifying the Lord. But when he was in trance, the demons came to eat him up. At that time, Lord Yagya appeared. He's an incarnation of Vishnu, and he kills the demons. Now, Swambhu Manu was very renounced. Otherwise, how can you leave such an opulent position? Then Sukadeva Goswami explains the 6 types of personalities in the first Manvantara, informs Parikshit that in the 4th Manvantara, Lord Hari protects Gajendra, the king of the elephants, from the attack of the crocodile. And Parikshit Maharaj was very interested to hear, how did that happen? How did an animal get protected by the Lord? Oops. So then different pastimes took place. In this canto, unexpected calamity in unobstructed enjoyment. So Gajendra was enjoying, but then he got caught by this crocodile. So we'll see that tomorrow. Very interesting pastime. Diplomacy of the divine. So there was a discussion between the demons and the demigods were losing or there was a fight and they were losing, and they went to the Lord, and the Lord said, okay, I'm not going to come and protect you. I need you to work with the demons. Diplomacy of the divine. So then the churning of the milk ocean took place, from which a lot of poison, a lot of nectar came out. And the poison was drunk by Lord Shiva. God's delight in glorifying a devotee. So Krishna delights in glorifying Lord Shiva. And then there's the spectacular manifestations that came from the churning of the ocean. And then chapter 9 describes who deserves God's mercy the most. So that's going to be interesting. There's a natural inclination between Supreme Lord and the Devatas, but nobody is stopped from becoming a Devata. Even the Maruts, who were born as demons, were in the womb of Aditi, but they became demigods. Then there was a hair-raising battle between the demons and the demigods, and Sukracharya did his magic. We'll see that in the 10th and 11th canto. Then there's a wonderful joking exchange between Mohini Murti and the demons, and ended up in a grave situation for the demons. Then different things are discussed: the universal management, the power of blessings, how Maharaj Parikshit was blessed, and he was blessed by Sukracharya, and he rose and he defeated the demigods. And then Vamandev, the appearance of Vamandev, the most cherished desire fulfilled. Very, very interesting pastimes. Deception for a divine purpose. So Vamandev tricks Bali. So God cheats Bali out of his possessions. How can God cheat anybody? Humility that's shown in humiliation. So Bali was humiliated, but actually he became very humble. And through that humility, he conquered the Supreme Lord. And then we see how the fish incarnation comes and saves the Vedas, not the waves. Okay, so what's this? Oh no, that's too much detail. Okay, so let's start Canto 1, Chapter 1. So we'll just do the one chapter today. This is the 11th verse.
Yam pashyati na pashyantam chakshuyasya nareshyati tam bhutanilayam devam suparnam upadhavata. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly watches the activities of the world, no one sees him. However, one should not think that because no one sees him, he does not see, for his power to see is never diminished. Therefore, everyone should worship the Super Soul who always stays with the individual soul as a friend.
So, just because we can't see the Lord, doesn't mean he can't see us. Very interesting point there. This chapter is called the Manus, the administrators of the universe. After hearing descriptions of the dynasty of Swambhu Manu until the end of the 7th canto, Parikshit desired to know about other Manus. They're very inquisitive. Sukadev explained that in the present day of Brahma, 6 Manus have already passed. So in our case, in this day, it's nearly midday. So 6 have passed. So his day is around about 11 o'clock-ish, 11:20 or something like that. Swambhu Manu had 2 daughters, Akuti and Devahuti. From their wombs, Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as 2 sons, Yagyamurti and Kapil, respectively. So Kapil we've already heard about. These sons were entrusted with the preaching about religion and knowledge. The activities of Kapil, the son of Devahuti, have already been described. And now, Sukadeva describes the activities of Yagyapati, the son of Akuti. So what happened? Manu, after having the 5 children, he was very detached from material life. He renounced the kingdom, and he went with his wife to the forest to perform austerities. He stood on one leg for 100 years on the bank of the river Sunanda. And his prayers and meditation was as follows. The Lord alone exists before creation and after annihilation, and he knows everyone, but no one knows him. He lives in everyone's heart as Supersoul, the best friend, seeing all, but no one can see him. Therefore, everyone should worship the Supersoul. He is the ultimate truth, the creator of the universe, yet he remains untouched by material activities. Since he is never entangled, his devotees who follow him are also never entangled. This is really interesting. The Lord is never entangled, and those who follow him, they're in the same position. Why? Because he ensures that his devotees are never entangled. And still he's not partial, because anybody can become his devotee. That's the point. So then, second and third Manus, while Swambhu Manu was in trance, the Rakshasas and Asuras, they were hungry, and they came after him to eat him up. At that time, the Supreme Lord appeared as Yagyapati, and he killed the demons and the Rakshasas. Yagyapati took the post of Indra. So sometimes he does that when there is no suitable person to take the position of Indra or Lord Brahma, then he would take that position. And he began to rule the heavenly kingdom. Okay, second and third one. The son of Agni named Swarochisa became the second Manu. The third Manu, Uttam, was the son of King Priyavrata. So Uttam was the son of King Priyavrata. The third Manu, Uttam, was said already. And then the fourth Manu. We'll have a look at this in summary in a minute. The brother of the third Manu, Uttam, was named Tamasha, and he became the fourth Manu. In this one Manvantara, Lord Vishnu took birth from the womb of Harini, the wife of Harimeda, and he's known as Hari. Okay, it's not very clear, but so this is the first Manu that we've talked about, Swambhu Manu, there. His two sons, the Lord who appeared, Marichi is the chief rishi. The Indra was Yagyapati. And the Manvantara avatars, the incarnations, Kapil and Yagya. And what are their activities? They both taught religion and they killed the demon. Yagya killed the demons. So the next Manu was a son of Agni. And seeing if anything we recognize. Not really. Uttam, son of Priyavrat. Third Manu. Again, nothing that really comes to mind. And then the fourth Manu, Tamasha, son of Priyavrat again. And here, the Lord appears as a son of Harini and Harimeda. And this is where the pastime of Gajendra takes place. This Hari, the same Hari, saved Gajendra from the crocodile. We'll see that in the next, tomorrow. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. There's one more thing. At the end of this chapter, Sukadev Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, Hari saved his devotee Gajendra, the king of the elephants, from the mouth of a crocodile. And sometimes Sukadev Goswami used to do this. He used to put in a line just to check if Parikshit Maharaj was paying attention. Had he fallen asleep? Or was he still paying attention? And Parikshit Maharaj was indeed paying attention, because the next question he asked is, what? What do you mean? Hari saved a crocodile, saved an elephant? How does that happen? So you were very interesting. Okay, any questions, any comments? If not, we can go to the Nishinga Kavach. Thank you so much. 8th Canto, Chapter 1, Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Oh, sorry, I don't think, Madhusudan Babu, you didn't get a chance to do a lesson from Canto, or instruction from Canto 1, right? Sorry, Chapter 1.
Is he? I don't know whether he'll be able to answer. He's just dropping my granddaughter off.
Oh, no problem. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow he can do it.
I'll pass. Oh,
Yeah,
he's
hi,
still-
Bol Nabi. Sorry, I'm just about to get in my car and
No
drop my
problem.
granddaughter. So yeah, no, I'm done. I'll do tomorrow. Include
Yes,
one
no
and
problem. No problem at all.
tomorrow. Yeah.
No problem at all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hari Bol.
Yeah.
Nice start. Anyway. Yeah. Good.
Where we started. Okay. Okay. Find.
What is the name of the
So we wanted to pray for everybody to become well, mentally, physically, and psychologically, so that we can continue with our bhakti and not get too worried about corona. Seems to be quite an increase in many parts of the world, but hopefully